Hey, Bill O'Leary, to you, happy Thursday, coming to you live as part of our Thirsty Thursday series. For those that are coming across this for the first time, who am I? I'm an estate planning, elder law, and probate attorney, and my firm is Legacy Planning Law Group. And what I do is every Thursday, I go live about this time to talk about sort of a topic of interest that I see in my practice. Maybe some things that issues that clients have had to deal with, things that I've read, and so forth. And I try to pick out a topic that I think is going to be interesting to people. Maybe they can learn a thing or two. So, if you are thirsting for knowledge, as I like to say, boy, you have come to the right place. So today's topic, it has to do with trust. Has to do with trust. And the question is, okay, great, we have a trust. Well, the trustee of the trust who's in charge, how much should the trustee get compensated? So, look, serving as a trustee of a trust, it can be a huge responsibility. So, trustees really are, they're entitled to compensation for their effort. Now, the amount of compensation is going to depend on the type of trustee you're dealing with and the complexity of the trust. Makes sense. So, depending on the trust, a trustee's duties it might include things like managing the trust assets, making distributions to beneficiaries, maybe paying taxes. How about creating an annual report, an annual accounting of all the income and the expenses? And performing these tasks, as you might imagine, can involve a lot of work. So it makes sense. It's only fair that a trustee be compensated for their time and effort. Now, the terms of the trust instrument itself might shed some light on exactly what kind of compensation the trustee is entitled to, but a lot of trusts don't provide those sort of specific. So if the trust itself doesn't give us that guidance, then we have to turn to the law here in Florida. And the law says that a trustee is entitled to compensation that is reasonable, but it doesn't give more details, doesn't really define what reasonable is. So what is considered reasonable, frankly, it's going to depend on different things. The type of trust is an important consideration. So things that are going to be taken into account to determine if the compensation is reasonable. Things like, how much time is going to be needed to administer this trust? How complicated are the terms of the trust? How many beneficiaries are involved? Is it just one or two, or is it a bunch? And what kind of assets are going to be managed by the trust? Now, oftentimes if a family member is serving as the trustee, or maybe let's say a friend, they'll often do the job without expecting compensation. And so usually that works fine if their duties are fairly modest in scope. Let's say just simply distributing the trust assets after the deceased loved one passed away, then that is usually a sort of an ideal situation where a family member may say, you know what, I'm not going to get compensated for it. I'm just doing it because I was fond of my loved one who just passed and really appreciated them entrusting their trust to me. But with a more complicated trust, some compensation is expected, especially if a professional trustee like a bank, financial institution, and so forth, lawyer, CPA, that they're entitled to be compensated. They're not going to do it for free. Now, usually, sort of the range that we're looking at for a professional trustee is between 1 to 2% of the trust assets. And again, it depends. If the trust has very few assets, well, that's probably going to be a higher percentage than a trust that has more assets, because a lot of times the work is the same. So to just peg it as a percentage may not quite get us to where we need to be. So let's say that the annual fee, let's say, for the trustee for a trust, let's say that holds $1 million, that fee could be between $10,000 and $20,000. So, and by the way, oftentimes professionals charge a higher percentage, just like I was saying, for smaller trust, and a lower percentage for larger trusts that have more assets. Now, a non-professional trustee usually charges less than a professional. But having said that, if the non-professional trustee is doing all of the work for the trust, including handling or overseeing the investments, making the distributions, and doing the accounting, then it might be appropriate for a non-professional trustee to charge a similar fee, similar to what a professional trustee would charge. Now, on the other hand, if the non-professional trustee is paying other people to perform these services, the investment advisory services and the accounting and so forth, then this third party is almost acting like a co-trustee with him. So charging as much as they might ordinarily charge if they're doing all of it, that might not be fair or reasonable. Now, a typical fee might be, a quarter or a half, let's say, of what a professional trustee is charging. And by the way, if taking a percentage of the trust assets would unnecessarily deplete the trust, then non-professional trustees might also charge an hourly rate for their work. Now, in addition to compensation for their work, trustees are also entitled to be reimbursed for any expenses that they might incur or advance on behalf of the trust, things like travel, insurance, taxes, storage fees, those sorts of things. And oh, by the way, if the beneficiaries are unhappy with the fees that the trustee receives, they always have recourse. They can challenge the fee in court. And by the way, the flip side is true. If the trustee thinks they're entitled to more compensation, they can always ask the judge to authorize a larger fee. So look, if you would like to know more about how much a trustee should be compensated and maybe how we could help, we would love to talk to you, love to start a conversation with you, and to make it really easy, sort of a very easy first step is to go ahead and schedule a phone call with us, a free 15-minute phone call. We like to call it our discovery phone call. And so you can go ahead and schedule that by going to the link at the bottom of this video, this YouTube video, or which has a link that takes you straight to our scheduling page, or if you're on our website, legacyplanninglawgroup.com, just click on the Book Your Free Call button. And again, it'll take you to our scheduler. You pick a day and time that works for you, and it's a great opportunity for you to kind of share with us what's on your mind, why you're sort of taking the initiative to want to talk to an estate lawyer now, and for us to see whether we'd be a good fit and work well with each other. Again, that call is complimentary, 15-minute phone call. So if you've enjoyed this video, I would kindly ask that you like it. I'd really especially be grateful if you were to share it with your friends. Again, I'm just trying to spread the word. So as I said at the beginning, I plan on giving another talk, Facebook Live talk about this time next week. Same day, same time, just a different topic. So if you're thirsty for knowledge, we will certainly quench your thirst. So Bill O'Leary signing off for now. On behalf of everybody here at my firm, Legacy Planning Law Group, we like to call ourselves Team Legacy. Team Legacy. Go make it a great day and certainly make it a better world.